I facilitate, I run the operations side of things, I'm the cleaner, I'm the tea lady.
I think they're cheeky. I think they're pushing the boundaries.
I'm pretty much everything.
You need that because that's how we get ahead.
Everywhere you look, you see the emergence of entrepreneurial thinking.
Our dream is to improve the lives of 10 million Indigenous people around the world.
And so we went, actually, if we're about changing the world, if we really think that we can do that, how about we set our sights on working with Maori, which is how we landed on this concept of improving the lives of 10 million Indigenous people around the world.
The Ice House is a business growth centre that works with startup entrepreneurs and owner-managers to help them grow and unleash their potential.
I noticed there was an internship here, so I applied for it.
So originally I found Shay as this young man from Auckland University who wanted to learn about business, but fundamentally had a real passion for Maori business, Maori economic development, and he wanted to come to the Ice House to learn and then see how he could apply that into the future.
Kia ora, ko Shay Wright tōku ingoa. I come from the most beautiful place in the world, the rural far north of New Zealand, and I descend from the great Indigenous tribes of Te Rārua, Ngā Ruahine and Ngāti Ruanui.
When he was at primary school, he decided he was going to draw pictures and sell them in the playground, which he duly did and gave the money to charity, but the teachers didn't seem to like it, which was quite bizarre. But yeah, the entrepreneurial has always been there.
Sure, looks like.
Shay started working in the marketing team, writing, learning about communication and business. He then said, hey, here's my passion working with Māori business. Why don't we try and do something there?
Pitched an idea to the CEO of the Ice House that there should be a Māori strategy to engage with iwi. And he said, I love that idea. I'm willing to back you. Go and do whatever you need to do to make that happen.
And that led to Shay starting to do that work. He found Travis.
Let's just go.
Kia ora, I'm Travis O'Keefe. I'm a Ngāti Pro from the most beautiful part of New Zealand in a little place called Whangara.
He was a good learner at school, actually. He was interested in learning, but not just how to add one thing to another or how to write a letter or an essay or something. He wanted to do more than that, always did. And that's what we got from his teachers. They were always telling us that he was stretching them at the same time as he stretched himself.
Young Travis was a bit wayward, haututu, and in those days you got put into subjects whether you liked it or not. One of those subjects was accounting, and I didn't want to do accounting, so I made a deal with the teacher. She could fail me at the end of the year, and I wouldn't just do the class, and I was allowed to do what I want. So I sat in the back and I created keg parties, and I sold tickets to the rugby boys and the netball girls to come along to my keg party, and made more money in that hour than the accounting teacher did. So
We linked them up together, and then they started to create this vision for a Māori business unit.
A lot of entrepreneurship can be taught. It's a little bit like excellence. Excellence, in my view, is a habit. Entrepreneurship, in my view, is also a habit. Yes, you can get some advantage to start with, but you can easily acquire, learn, pick up all you need.
I'm passionate about combining entrepreneurship, innovation, education, and Indigenous development. And it's often at the nexus of these things that great and transformational ideas happen.
you totally,
You could not work with Māori organisations if flexibility wasn't a key part of the way that you operated.
They were referred to me by a colleague who felt that the creative mix that they both presented with and also their cultural background might be a better fit for the skills that I had, because I've got a strong interest in the Maori economy.
There's this huge thing called the Maori economy which is emerging, this taniwha which is waking up, and treaty settlements and Maori trusts needing assistance with growing their financial businesses and enterprises to improve well-being of whānau. And so we were thinking of taking this, which is essentially...
We knew about Travis and Shay from other iwi that they've worked with, through other trusts and organisations that they've worked with. They have a pretty impressive and formidable reputation in terms of the mahi that they do to essentially help provide objective advice around what individual iwi might be doing or Māori organisations. So we thought it'd be good for us to have them on board.
Te whare huka huka o Tangaroa is the name that we've been blessed with by our first iwi partner, Ngāti Pūkenga. Essentially comes from a story of the first whare that was built by Tangaroa under the sea. And that whare under the sea was the home to all of the sea creatures. And it burned down through some circumstances. And as the different fish escaped and sea creatures escaped, they were all marked with some blemish, and that is why we have the many different and variable forms and types and colours of sea creatures. So essentially the name Te Whare Huka Huka o Tangaroa refers to the whole domain of creation and innovation, and that was the prototype for all whare that we have now.
We have a dream, a really passionate dream, and it takes often courage to get it out of moving it from a dream into reality. So that's where people like mentors come around, because a dream plus a plan, in the end equals a vision which a mentor can then work with and help people through the process of achieving that vision.
So you got Gary, Dennis and Jim as an external.
Yeah, okay.
Travis and Shay helped us to do, just some practical, pragmatic things around looking at what's the first domino, they call it, of our strategic priorities, rather than going halfway down the line of dominoes and pushing that domino and missing all the rest in between.
Generally what we find with iwi is they're in commodity businesses, and so they're in fishing, forestry, farming. They make their money and it ends at the farm gate. And what that means is someone else makes money from the milk or from the forestry product after the farm gate. Our recommendation for iwi is to look at taking your log and what can you turn that log into? Is it some sort of furniture?
Things like how we take a honey product and add the Maori story to it. Or how do we take a product like eel and actually send that into markets where Maori have never played before, which is in the premium space, where people were willing to pay significantly more money for that. Or ginseng. We have a Maori trust we're working with who has pine trees, like Travis mentioned, forestry, and they went, actually, we could grow ginseng under our pine trees, create another revenue stream. And so that was the second evolution. The third evolution is to go, okay, how do we take that ginseng and put that inside another product and maybe combine it with honey, or make it into a cosmetic product, or make it into some sort of health product. So you're even capturing more value. So it's just about staging that depending on where the iwi's at. So it gave a little bit of a focus. The Maori Unit was established in 2012 inside the Ice House, and in 2015 we established Te Whare Huka Huka o Tangaroa as its own entity to further that kaupapa.
We realised the best thing was for them to spin it out into their own business, Te Whare Huka Huka, which is what happened.
It's getting entrepreneurs together to talk to each other, to learn like the actual hot tips and the secret sauce of how they can grow their businesses.
Pretty clear that they've got a Maori development unit within Icehouse, which is pretty good. Able to access the big resource of Icehouse, but also stand a little bit independent and be able to work with Maori trust whānau who want to get into business.
I think that's a key thing, right? Is how do we help iwi to focus?
And the good thing is that these guys have got at least a good base of business now to be able to take all that expertise out into the regions and help our people.
And I think that's what's really exciting, is to see a group of people who are really participating not only in our own country Aotearoa, but globally as well, and bringing these indigenous kind of mindsets which can be strongly combined with current Western thinking.
We came across this whakatauki that had been created by Apirana Mahuika. This whakatauki was kia tū koe ki te kei o te waka, kia pakia koe i ngā ngaru o te wā, which essentially means stand at the prow of the waka and feel the waves of the future biting at your face. And I really like that kōrero, and I like that kaupapa, because essentially what it means is be brave, be prepared to think differently and be prepared to take the hard knocks of what it means to be in a position of leadership going into an unknown future.